pressure team all year. So the West Coast knew what they were confronting today. Have to be strong in the contest, have to withstand the heat that's going to be thrown at them.
Surprised by is the meek response from West Coast, and they have no answer whatsoever. There's no aggression, there's no flair, there's no plan B at the moment.
It's hard to believe we're actually seeing it.
And they're doing it against what was supposed to be a quality opposition. One of the teams that we think is going to be playing September action, but they are making them look second-rate, absolutely dominating in virtually every position.
Thought defensively we were poor. They transitioned the ball a lot better than we did. And the way they used the ball and their run and work rate, you know, we weren't at the same level. And then before we knew it, the game was sort of out of our reach. The inability to stop momentum is costing us dearly. We're going to make sure we own today. We take responsibility for it, and we'll do everything we can to get better.
Yes, it was indeed a horror sequel for the Eagles heading back to GMHBA Stadium again this season. A massive 92-point loss at the hands of the then equal place Sydney Swans on the ladder. Welcome to this week's episode of Eagle Review, proudly presented by Stake. Make your mark on Wall Street with 4,000 US stocks at your fingertips and no commission on trades. Make sure to check out Stake in the App Store. Another rare solo show with Tyson Beattie still stuck over east in the Eagles travel party. However, I'm sure this week is strictly for the tragic die-hard supporters only, so let's get started. Here are some of the gut-wrenching records that were dished out on Sunday afternoon. The club's lowest score since 1992 and third lowest of all time. They are now one of the lowest ranked defensive pressure teams without the footy in the competition. The club has now lost the last 8 straight games at GMHBA Stadium by an average of 68 points. Last game there, of course, in round 6 against the Cats was a 97-point loss, which means that the Cattery in 2021, West Coast second quarters are a cumulative 16 goals to 0. That's just uncanny. And seeing both games started in relatively similar fashion, West Coast led the Cats at quarter time back in round 6, and they actually had more inside 50s than the Swans in the first quarter, 12-11. But the Swans went vintage Eagles to whip out a massive 64% scoring efficiency to begin the game, 5 goals to 0. Now, this Eagles backline has kept the club in many matches over the past 3 or 4 years. They've been sublime, touted as one of the best defences in the league and boasting many All-Australian selections. But Sunday was certainly an off day for the Bulls, losing one-on-ones and their opponents inside forward 50 and forced into rush clearing kicks by quality Swans pressure. They gave up plenty of easy scores, and the Swans at one point scored 15 times from 32 inside 50 entries. A devastating half-time deficit of 61 points had anyone hoping for a Cats comeback, 2006 styles, left gravely disappointed. So it's now 2 bad losses in a row, bringing their tally to 1-5 against teams who currently reside inside the top 8. Senior coach Adam Simpson was asked after the game what must change moving forward.
I think we need to look at a bit of our method. You know, if we're cleaner and tougher at stoppages and contests, then maybe there's different issues. But at the moment, we're doing a lot of attacking from our D50, and we're not getting supply, which is a concern. So that's the first thing we need to look at. And then how we defend on our entries is a second thing. That they got out too easily today, and I think the Bulldogs were the same last week. So, yeah, it's a bit of work to do, that's for sure. Yeah, we just don't look as connected as we have been in the past with how we defend and how we move the ball. And part of that is willing to work, so we need to get a hold of that. So yeah, we've got to look at all aspects. And yeah, look, you're right, it's disappointing if I mention the word work rate. Well, that's disappointing, but there's a lot of other things as well.
Things don't get much better on the injury front, with midfielder Jack Redden subbed out of the game just prior to half-time with a knee injury, and Jermaine Jones unable to run out the contest with an injured ankle. This news obviously compounded with the late withdrawal of Andrew Gaff from the match with a painful thumb injury. The medicos tested it at the captain's run on Saturday, but he was unable to get up for the contest. As we're recording this, it's a bit of a nervous wait to find out if Captain Luke Shuey will face any sanction with this incident against Callum Mills. It was a frustrating afternoon for the skipper, copping the George Hewitt tag and limiting him to 19 disposals on the day. Eagles fans will be hoping for the best when waiting for the MRO results later today. So as the squad eagerly awaits their return trip home to Perth, whenever it may be, many critics and fans may ask how this 2021 season will end for the mighty and proud Blue and Gold. They showcased the second most experienced side in the AFL for round 16, and barring All-Australians Gaff and Ryan, were boasting their full-strength team. While there were a handful of positives to take from the match, including Shepherd's quality defensive job on Tom Papley, Yo's 26 touches and 8 tackles, signalling his build to top form, Darling and Cole fighting hard at either end of the ground, or Sheed for his 38 disposals. They did show significant improvement on their contested ball numbers compared to the previous week, which I'm sure was a large focus going in. However, this lopsided defeat essentially shuts the door on a top 4 finish, a bitter pill to swallow for the club and its fans, knowing the talent that exists in this squad. But they now have 7 matches to find their groove, some cohesion and some confidence, because the fight for the top 8 is still well and truly in the balance. And I'm definitely not loving the Melbourne hub prospect of other interstate teams now nominating the Cattery as their home ground, as Sydney did on this occasion with great success. Pretty serious tone this week, so let's end on a lighter note with the roast. Courtesy of Steak, our investment partner, howling cross breeze on Sunday afternoon. Always hard to tell at home in front of the television. The first telltale sign, probably this boundary umpire with the 5-metre throw-in. Very unfortunate. TB and Gov were using their heads in defence, but probably not the way the coach has instructed. Rarely do you see Nick Nat letting JD go up for the ruck in the forward 50 when they're side by side. Twice in a row. Perhaps a little trickery from the big Fijian on the crumbing prow, who knows? Let's see if that becomes a trend moving forward. Around the grounds, this is sent in by Jamie Sienemeyer. The Cats' record on their home deck is exceptional. Unsure if it's that good though. Clayton Oliver giving his teammate an absolute spray, but probably in a different variety. I'm not a fan of the Channel 7 box-in-box replay, but if you have to do it, maybe put the action shot as the main shot and not in the smaller box. Rudimentary error there. In the same game, Sarah Jones, the boundary rider, getting absolutely wrecked by this passing seagull. Lucky it was probably just on the clothes, in my opinion. Tip and Woody getting a boot caught in his jumper. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't have seen it myself. But the winner, comfortably from the Tour de France, and this fan wanting all the headlines but got it for the wrong reasons. Get out of the way. You've made half the field crash and wreck themselves for an event that they trained their whole lives for. You idiot.